listening to Tennis Talk Canada on TSN 1050. Here's Jim Taddy.
Welcome back. Of course, our co-host is Ken Christina, Director of Tennis at Mayfair Clubs, and he works at a Mayfair West. And now we go to Mayfair Parkway. Head coach and high-performance coach Bogdan Grigorenko is with us. Bogdan, how are you today?
Good, guys. How are you? Good.
I mean, there's got to be some war stories with Ken, right? We have to know what goes on between you two guys.
Don't say anything, Bogdan. You're doing great so far.
I'm on it.
Oh, come on. I won't tell anybody. Just between you and me.
No, everything's pretty good. So I'm not going to share anything on that regard.
I mean, so many young, great tennis stars. I mean, it's a one-off, really. I mean, we've had great tennis players before, but the number of them and really the youth. How is that? Like, for what you're doing, do you see the impact of that?
Oh, of course. I mean, like in the clubs, we see constant increase in numbers where, and it just makes sense. When parents see so many Canadians doing well, they will consider putting their child in tennis. They now have a success story from their country, from their province, so they think, well, maybe my child can do the same. So it feels like that life is more attainable. And it's also what I noticed. It's actually interesting. What's also cool about this is that kids now see our players and they want to be like them. I often ask young kids, and I work with them, and their favorite tennis player is now more often we can hear that it's Felix, it's Bianca, and it's Dennis. And I actually had one girl who started playing tennis because she saw Bianca on TV. So, yeah, I mean, success of our Canadian players is making a big change in our clubs for sure.
I agree with you there 100%, Bogdan. I know when I was younger, I always wanted to grow up to be Jimmy Connors or Johnny Mack or somebody along those lines. And now we're getting these young players that are saying Milos or Genie or Felix and goes on. It's fantastic. In your program, your high performance program at Mayfair Parkway, we heard from Jeannie Bouchard that she felt she's in the best physical shape of her life, and that's why she's not fearing these long matches and not fearing the clay. In your program at Mayfair Parkway, are you doing any off-court fitness with kids, fitness testing, that type of stuff? What are the young up-and-coming players doing today?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is paramount these days. Tennis is a multi-skill sport, and you can't get away by just playing tennis, at least these days, Every kid that comes to us does fitness, and we test them 3 times a year to see their progress. In any high-performance program, we want to monitor as many variables as possible, so we know what can we adjust in those windows in between, so we can help them reach their full potential. And for the young kids, it's very important that we hit those fitness ABCs. We focus on fundamentals and develop them as rounded athletes, so they can grow further when they're older.
So when Jim and I were younger, we would have grabbed our parents' Dunlop Max Ply wooden tennis racket that was a full size, and it seemed like it weighed about 7 pounds. And nowadays we've got different tennis balls, different rackets, things like that. Are you training kids at all with the progressive balls, and how has that kind of impacted their development, and how has it impacted you maybe even as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, if you think about it, progressive tennis just makes so much sense. And in my opinion, it's one of the reasons why we see kids develop faster and better earlier. So the equipment and court dimensions make it so much easier for them to enjoy the game. They can start the point, they can learn the tactics, and it just allows them to develop proper technical and tactical fundamentals earlier. So then again, you save on time, you develop faster. And just for all parents listening, I recommend not rushing through this. It's just the start of your tennis journey, so it's paramount. I underline paramount. We set fundamentals right, and then we keep improving from there.
So I just want to ask this question because I always like to bring it down to those that are listening that are thinking about getting into tennis because of the fact that we're maybe talking about it, the fact that there are some great Canadian tennis stars. So if you have a young child, 10 or 12 years old, and they're interested in this, not so much the money commitment, but what is the time commitment? Because we have those hockey stories where it takes over a family's life. What's it like for tennis to get into this?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about 10 to 12 years old and you're serious about tennis, you want to be the next Dennis, you want to be the next Layla, Bianca, Eugenie. If that's the plan, so we're talking about, like 18 hours a week. That's fitness included. So it's, I would say, about 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours on court, and 6 hours of fitness off court, 3 of which is another sport. It's very important that the kids don't specialize in tennis early on, and they play as many different sports as possible until they're 12, 13, and so just to make sure they're developing proper fundamentals. So I would say those are the times.
I agree with that 100%. We talked briefly about the progressive balls. Before I ask you another question, I'll tell you that my son, who's 21, has his girlfriend Kiana and Noah. They wanted to go play tennis. I gave them a new can of tennis balls. They came back after half an hour. The rallies were short. They didn't really enjoy it. She's new to the game. So I gave them a can of orange dot balls, which of course are just below the progressive green dot balls. And what a difference. Their rallies were 15 to 20 shots in length. So even for adults, those progressive balls are a good thing, aren't they, Bogdan?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's all about making success and enjoying the game. If the kid or adult comes on court, like he doesn't hit a ball over the net, he misses everything, of course it's not going to be fun. For the kid, it's even more so because, kids want to have fun. They want to get successful. They want to see their progress. And it just makes so much sense to use better equipment for their height, for their age, so they can progress faster. Isn't that what all we want?
100, yes, absolutely. So in the middle of the night, prior to you working for Mayfair Parkway, I snuck into Tennis Canada to kind of coerce you and talk to you about switching and coming over to Mayfair. When you worked at Tennis Canada, I know you did a lot of traveling with our young teams and got to see a lot of the world and a lot of great players. Did you see any of our young up-and-coming stars training back then? The Felix, the Dennis, the Layla, Bianca? And if you did, what was their work ethic like? And did you have any clue that they were going to make it to the level that they're at now?
Yeah, that's the hot question. Hey, everybody wants to know, can you spot it earlier or not? But to answer your question, for sure, I saw Bianca probably the most because I was working in Toronto close to her personal coach, Andrea Labelle, who was in charge of Toronto Regional Training Center. And I pretty much saw her development from 13 till almost when she won US Open. And, I mean, every time you're talking about high achievers anywhere, in any aspect, in any industry, that's the first thing you're going to hear about them. They work so hard. And, of course, Felix, Bianca, any player of that caliber, it's a prerequisite to get there. It's just like it's no questions about it. They work really hard. They're mentally super tough, and they know what they want. They're mature very early. I remember Bianca at 15, she visited a U12 national camp. And one of the kids asked, like, what do you want to achieve? Like, why are you playing tennis? And she said, I want to leave legacy and I want to make Canadian history. I mean, what 15-year-old says it just in my mind, it's unheard of. But she knew it from the very beginning that that's all she wanted to be. And she put all the work behind it. So she backed up her words with action,
I love that. So there's so many coaches, just at Mayfair alone, we have 55 coaches coaching tennis of all varying levels. So Bogdan, for you, why did you decide that you wanted to coach high performance? What led you into the high performance stream?
Yeah, I was always passionate about competitors and raising competitors. But the more I'm in this industry, the more I discover other things why I'm coaching high performance. So we as coaches, we have tremendous impact on kids we work with. So it's critical that we take our jobs with great sense of responsibility. To me, personally, it's more than just teaching tennis. It's about teaching life through tennis. So the importance of humility, hard work, like you were saying with those tennis stars that we have in Canada, high standards, perseverance, remaining good human being when facing adversity. So all these values and traits that will help them become successful no matter what they do in life. So in my opinion, that's what drives me, because I can have that impact on all these players through tennis. And to me, that's just priceless.
Bogdan, really thanks for your time here. And I'm easy to find, so you can send me some of those Kenny stories that I could then use against him at another time.
For sure. I'll follow up on those.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bogdan Grigorenko, head coach, high performance coach at Mayfair Parkway. So, I mean, it's I really enjoyed that conversation because it brings it down to a level of those that want to get into this. And I think that, I don't know what the growth rate is in tennis, but I got to believe it's pretty darn good.
Yeah, from everything that I'm hearing from Tennis Canada pre-pandemic, it was